Hey guys, welcome back. It's Shelby and we are in February, which means we are making some adorable Valentine's Day crafts. We are starting with a little serving tray. These are from the dollar store. They're great because they're metal, they're aluminum, and they're $1, so they're great. I do have a couple of these. That was loud. I do have a couple of these. This one is rectangular. I have oval, I have circle. They're honestly pretty handy for crafting, so I always have a couple of them. I'm actually down on my supply. I've got this one and then one more like this, and then I have to restock. But they are handy. At the very least, you can use them to like actually serve things on because that's their intended purpose. But they're fun, they're cute. They've got little filigree work on them and they are shiny metal. So why not? For $1, you can't really beat it. We also have some hot glue, scissors, and construction paper. So I have red and yellow because I really actually like the contrast of those two colors together. If you want something a little softer, you could use like white and pale pink, or red and pale pink, or red, pink, and white, blues, purples, really anything you want. But I'm feeling the red and yellow. Like I like that color combination. And they're both colors of real roses in real life, so I figured it will work out, and we are going to make this craft today. So this craft is actually super easy to do, and what I'm gonna do first is just put my paper together. That way I only have to cut it once, and I'm gonna cut squares out of here. The bigger the square, the bigger your rose. So we're just gonna do this. I've got my yellow one back, and we're just gonna cut out a couple different size squares. It doesn't really matter if the red and the yellow are the same size or not. They're just gonna be equal size roses. But like here, you see how that's a rectangle? Try not to do rectangles. You kind of need it to be a square. So I am gonna cut the rectangle and then I'm gonna trim it down into, actually I could probably get 2 squares out of that. So I'm gonna cut it again, slightly rectangular, but not really, like still kind of square-like. I'm gonna do a nice big square, I think. We'll do some big flowers. And then I'm gonna do some itsy bitsy ones. So we'll do 2 of them like that, 2 cuts. Just kind of cut those off like that. And then with the remaining rectangle, I think I want to do kind of a square there. And then 2 squares there. So basically I've just cut my construction paper into a bunch of different squares. And now I'm gonna take each individual square, again, if you can, put them together because save yourself work. And we're gonna cut these into spirals. But just go ahead and cut off all the corners of all of your squares. And then go ahead and make your petals not too thin, but also not too much thicker than any other one you do. I'll explain that in one sec when I finish cutting this. Okay, so these are both going to be flowers for me, right? This distance here is the depth, that's how big the rose is. It can't be too much smaller than this. So even though this is going to be a much bigger, thicker, fuller flower, the petals, they're a little bit bigger, each individual one, but not hugely so on the thickness. So that's what you want to do with all of your paper squares. Alrighty, so I have made all of my little spirals, and we're going to start assembling the roses. So now that you have all your little spirals, you can take this tiny little part in the center and just kind of tear it off. And then you're actually going to want to wind from the outside in. If you wind from the inside out, you're going to get a really tight little spiral, and it's not going to like cone out at all and look kind of like that rose shape. Take a little bit of glue and just put it on the tail here. Careful not to burn yourself. We all know I'm gonna burn myself. And roll it kind of back on itself, and this is just to start the little roll. Try to make this as circular as possible as you're doing it. It's going to want to make like a tight little rectangle because it's construction paper, so it likes to put that bend in there, but try really hard not to let that happen. And just kind of use your fingers to roll it around the spiral, really. And the way it's cut is automatically going to put a cone shape in it. It's gonna be wider at the top than the bottom, and that's gonna give it that floral shape. So just gonna kind of do this all the way around. And then when you get to the end, tighten it up, and this little hole in here, go ahead and pump a little bit of hot glue in there too, just to help it from stopping unraveling glue this down, and you should have like a tiny little rosebud. Again, this is not going to pass for a real rose, and it's not meant to. It's just meant to be a small little rose. If you're looking to build bigger, more realistic flowers, first off, don't use construction paper. But this also, like if you notice, it's a tiny little rosebud. It also looks like the center of a rose. So if you are building more realistic looking roses, you can do this as the center and then build your petals off that. And it'll help with a more realistic looking rose, but that's not the goal today. We just want little cute paper rosettes. I'm gonna finish the rest of my spirals here, get them all nice and wound up, and we will go on from there. So now we are assembling our heart, and for this you just need all of your paper rosettes and your hot glue gun. So I'm basically just eyeballing out a cute heart shape. I don't have a ton of big flowers. They're all pretty medium or small, and that's going to help give kind of a uniform shape, but those small rosettes are really, really important to fill in the little nooks and crannies so that it's not a triangle. It's like a really smooth out, nice and rounded heart, and really beautiful. One thing I wanted to pay attention to was making sure I was using yellow and red. It got a little yellow heavy down at the bottom, so I tried to sneak in a few little tiny red rosettes here and there and made sure to include some yellow up at the top. But you can see I'm just trying to round out those top portions of the heart. That's what gives it its lovely shape. And it's that simple. You've got a lovely Valentine's Day heart out of rosettes. Okay guys, so the tray is all finished and it's so cute. I think I did a fairly good job of making it a heart, and you can see it's just little paper rosettes. Try to ignore the reflection, sorry about that. But just a really cute little like idea of a heart shape made out of paper rosettes. Totally spices up this tray and makes it super cute and festive for the holiday. I washed it prior to doing this, but you might want to like, I don't know, wipe it down before you put food on there. Try not to get the paper roses wet because they are paper and they are colored paper, so they will bleed everywhere. But yeah, it's a super cute, fun little craft. And the best part about this is, first of all, the tray is super cheap. So even if it's ruined, you're fine. And second of all, you're working with hot glue. So you can actually peel it off and wash it and your tray is gonna be fine. So if you do it with something that's not a very cheap tray, you're still okay. If you're really, really worried about it, you can make the shape on like a little piece of felt or something like that and just kind of place it on the tray. Maybe use double-sided sticky tape or something like that where it's a little bit less permanent than hot glue or a little less damaging, even though hot glue is generally pretty reversible. But you do have options, and either way, this is a really cute, fun little way to display Valentine's Day treats, either for sharing or for yourself. And I hope you guys like the craft. Thanks so much for joining me here today. I'll see you soon. Bye for now.